moves for you. 954, over 11.5, over 12 in Dodgers, Colorado. They're betting this over in the Dodgers every single night. They were fading them under and losing. And I think now they just jumped on that train going over. But eventually, again, you're seeing the market start to correct itself. We're looking at an opener of 11.5, now 12.5. That's a much different bet going over 12.5 compared to going over 11.5. They're two completely different bets. You got to be able to draw that distinction if you're going to try to use sports betting for profit and not just for entertainment. 956, San Francisco, minus 170. 958, New York Mets at even money. So even money or plus, like the Mets there. Under 8.5 and under 8, all the way up to minus 130, Toronto, Cleveland. At 7.5, much different bet. From going under 8.5 to going under 7.5. Two completely different bets. Keep that in mind. 962, Cleveland, minus 115. Cleveland, minus 120. Cleveland again, minus 125. They love Cleveland today. 965, over 9.5, minus 130. Tampa, Kansas City. And finally, Houston, minus 130. Houston, minus 135. Houston, minus 140. So Cleveland and Houston, they hit multiple times. Over in the Dodgers, they hit multiple times. Under in Toronto, they hit multiple times. So a little early still, only about 9:30 a.m. out here in the Pacific. But again, with International Fight Week going on in Las Vegas, the drafts going on, Major League Baseball, UFC 317, PFL card. It's a great weekend to do some damage, man. I'm so hyped and so excited for it.
I am too. We got a ton of play.
Draft, I'm going to give that to you right now. 4% best bet NHL draft. Joshua Ravensbergen over 22.5. We laid minus 132. It's good up to minus 150. I believe I wrote in the analysis 6 out of 10 times is the break even. I think even there it's at plus EV. As long as you get 150 or better, you're golden. That's Joshua Ravensbergen over 22.5. That's the draft position left in the NHL. Only one of those to go.
Listen, this is a free play. I think I'm moving it to a client play. Plante's pitching for Cardinals. He gave up no runs in his last start, but he's given up 3 or more runs in 8 starts this season. The last time he had a great outing, he got shelled in the next game. The Cubs scored over this total in 4 out of the last 5 games. The Cubs are averaging 5.8 runs per game on the road. It's hot. There's not going to be a lot of movement on the ball, and there's a few players for the Cubs that have had really, really big success. So I'm moving this to a client play. It's a free play, but it's going to be moved to a client play. We're going to the WNBA. This is from Ronald Kabang. Mystics at Aces. He likes the Aces minus 8. Aces playing great defense. Held last 5 opponents under their team total. Mystics long cross-country trip. They're starting to slide a little bit, only averaging 77 points the last 5 games. And then Brian Power gives us Man City at Juventus. Both teams to score. Juventus 9 goals in the first 2 matches, and Man City 8 goals in their first 2 matches. So expect these teams to come out firing, because I believe they do want to win this game based on the points and the seeding that takes place. So those are the free plays for today. If you want more free plays, there's a bunch of them up at the WagerTalk free picks page. Special promo that we have up now, 7 days of all.
Do have one game tonight, 8 daytime games, and there's only one nighttime game tonight on Thursday. It is your national TV standalone game on MLB Network, so it'll be a high-profile game, and it's a good matchup. Braves and Mets. Mets just a few weeks ago had the best record in all of baseball, and they decided to lose 10 out of 11 games. They got back on track with a win yesterday, but still just 2-10 their last 12. So we're going to stay away from the side of this one. I'm going to look at the total instead. I like over 8.5 runs here between the Braves and Mets. Atlanta's offense has been a little choppy this season, but they still have some firepower, and I think they'll have plenty of success against the Mets starter tonight, as Griffin Canning, not a good pitcher, and my projections have him to have a poor outing here. And Atlanta's current lineup that'll be facing him tonight has gone 15 for 46, a 326 career batting average against Canning. So I think the Braves will have success here. And while the Mets are struggling overall with wins, they still have 4 hitters with 15 home runs or more this year. They're always one swing away from multiple runs, and I think they'll also fare well here. My pitcher projection ratings do not have Holmes having a good game either here. So both pitchers project to be pretty mediocre. Both offenses are capable. We'll look at over 8.5. This line opened briefly at 9, which is a very key number. It's now 8.5 over across the board. I like it more because of that. So Braves Mets over 8.5 runs. That's your MLB Network national TV game, the standalone only nighttime game on Thursday at 7:15 Eastern.
Oh, all right, Steve, this is the featured game. I don't even think you know we're doing this. All right,
I have
leave
no
in the
clue what's going on.
comments.
Do I need to take cover? My
No.
sprinklers are coming on.
No.
I got
You
a
need to give
huge
us a
mug of water I
prediction.
can pour. Okay. All right,
No,
let's
you
make
need to
it.
give us a prediction. Here's the contest. Put in the comment section after the show who wins this game and what's the correct score. We're doing this in the comment section, Steve. The winner, if someone wins, they get free Wager Talk swag. And if anybody gets to 3 winners, they get to come on this show and do a segment. They get to come on and do a game breakdown. All right, so Steve, what's your prediction? Give us the winner and the correct score for Braves and Mets.
I got to calm down here. As you can see, the heart's beating. I mean, first of all, I thought I'd left one of those tags on my clothes again when I walked out the department store. That brought back some bad memories, or from Sam Goody when the CD didn't scan right. Anyway, all right. Well, so, I like the over here, but I do think it's interesting. We saw a little bit of short money coming on the Mets. The Braves opened as a road favorite. The Mets are now a small favorite. I know they're just 2-10 their last 12, but it's funny, Andy. I was doing research on this late last night. If you go back over the last 50 years, teams on a 3-game win streak or lose streak, no predictive power going forward. It's basically random variance. Now, 2-10 may be a little bit different, but the point is the Mets probably overachieved, and now they've probably underachieved, right? So I do think there'll be the buy side with them sooner than later. So I'll take the Mets, and I like the over here. So we're going to go at least 9 runs or more. I'll say the Mets win by 1. Do I dare say 5-4? That's too obvious. I'll say 6-5 because I like the over. We're going to look for some runs. Mets 6, Atlanta Braves 5, and if I get 2 more right, I get to come on the show next week.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Maybe we might finally send you a shirt.
Oh, I do need some swag. Hey, I'll tell you what, man.
Right.
It's like the free William and Mary basketball T-shirts that I wear every day to the gym and around town. I've advertised that program more, including here on the show, just like Wager Talk as well. And the viewers do love the swag, by the way, so I know that'll be a popular prize. I've got a lot of positive hoodie comments during the winter with the videos.
And, I actually had the Elks last week. I gave out the Elks on this show last week, but I'm not giving up on them here. That came up just short against Montreal. But Edmonton, it does continue to make significant progression, and you can see that from week 1 to week 2. And so I think that the odds makers are a little slow here in recognizing that. Now, Winnipeg, it is 2-0 straight up and against the spread to open the season, but both games came against the BC Lions, so there is a little bit of uncertainty there about this team. And then they have a game at 2-1 Calgary next week, and so I think the home side it will struggle to cover this larger spread at home. The Elks, they're 0-2 straight up and against the spread, but yeah, I saw 10 and then 10.5, and now I'm seeing 11s, and so it could continue to go up here even. But yeah, last year, the Blue Bombers, Andy, they went 0-4 to start the season to start with, before then going 11-3 the rest of the way, and they won the West Division. Winnipeg, though, it has not started 3-0 since 2022. Edmonton, it started 0-7 last year, and it started 0-9 to open 2023. And so it's hoping to avoid that streak. But despite being 0-2, as I say, it's made some small steps. And so I think that it's going to be very competitive this week as it sort of holds up a measuring stick here to Winnipeg. Last week, the Elks, they did lose 38-28 to Montreal. And Montreal is favored to come out of the East. And now Winnipeg is favored to come out of the West. And so Edmonton is playing 2 really tough teams here back to back. But the Elks, they did have a 22-point fourth quarter in last week's loss. I think they can keep that momentum from that fourth quarter going here. Trey Ford, the quarterback, he had his best game of his career. He was 27 of 36 for 306 yards and a touchdown. He also rushed for 41 yards and another touchdown. So Bombers quarterback Zach Collaros, he wasn't out of his best in last week's win. He only had 178 yards passing. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 interceptions. And so the bottom line here essentially is being a situational capper. As I said, I think the books are a little slow in recognizing the Elks' positive progression here. And as Dan was talking about being a contrarian, I mean, with over 80% of the public money on the home side here, this one also definitely greatly appeals to my contrarian nature. So I'm not calling for an outright upset or anything, but I do think the stage is set for a very competitive battle. And so I'm going to suggest a play on the Elks tonight.
Love it. Yeah.
Minus 500 roughly, and come back here on Charles is sitting around plus 380. And to what you're saying, Andy, yeah, you have Makhachev, he moved up in weight, relinquishes his belt. You've got Topuria dropping his belt to move up. Now we've got this lightweight title on Saturday night. Now you look at, Charles Oliveira here, and Oliveira is already a, Hall of Famer in the UFC, most submissions in the history of the sport. I mean, just really has been, but we've seen him grow up basically in the UFC. But the one thing here I always say is that styles make fights, but so does timing of fights. And now we've got Charles Oliveira, who is sitting now at 35 years old, a 7-year age gap. And that's not a good thing already. I don't like that, especially when we're talking about some of these lower weight classes. But the one thing that I thought was the biggest red flag I really thought were Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler in the most recent fight. It was a fight I was at Madison Square Garden, and it was a fight where really you should see Charles Oliveira dominating. That should absolutely be an absolute domination. You've got, Chandler, who's more of a cross trainer at this point compared to like a UFC fighter. And yes, he got the victory, but if you look at significant strikes, it was 88 to 84 for Charles. Very close. The way he got that victory was primarily takedowns. He needed the takedowns. He needed control time. He had 5 takedowns, over 15 minutes of control time. And that's how he won the fight. And I think at this point, that really should have been a fight where he just puts a stamp on it, finishes Chandler, and really, really looks good. I thought you're seeing the decline of Oliveira, even though he got the victory. And that's really how I see this fight here, where the biggest liability really for Oliveira is his chin and really the style at which he fights. And what I mean by that is, first, we've seen Charles how many times guy gets rocked, wobbled, dropped in wins, in losses. I mean, he's just, the chin is there. It gets touched. He starts to rock. He'll go to his back. He'll allow, most opponents don't want to go down with him. So it kind of allows a little bit of time for him. And I think that also he's a shoot to box guy. And I respect those guys a lot, but you look at how they fight and, they come forward. They're aggressive. They're going to throw a lot of combinations. Charles obviously is not scared to be taken down. He's got, high level, BJJ, so he can move forward with that. But the issue here for me really is the fact that if he's going to come forward, and so is Topuria, that's going to just be a lot of action here. And I think that Topuria is far more durable. I think obviously he's got the youth on his side. And really, I think that the way he strikes and his power is really absurd, just how good it is, how he works the body, kind of like Jack Della Maddalena, where he's able to mix it up, work the body, allows him to open up shots to the head. And that's how I see this really going here. And I just don't think Charles has the striking defense to really kind of, get away from some of that stuff. And plus, if he's looking to crash the pocket and throw big combinations, Topuria that's exactly what he wants. Topuria wants that kind of interaction, to have the opportunities to land those big shots. He's got the better footwork. He's the harder hitter between these two, the better boxer. Plus the fact that Topuria is a guy that, you look at what he can do, and he's really has fantastic grappling. I mean, he is elite on the ground. It's just he hasn't had to because he's knocking everybody out. And I don't see Topuria diving at legs here looking for takedowns. And I don't think Oliveira finds success with takedowns. So if this plays out on the feet, I think the knockout for Topuria is very live here. It's sitting around minus 150. I think that's how it happens. I even think it's probably within the first 2 rounds. I don't think it's going to take much. It's not like he really needs to hit this big combination on Oliveira. I think if he lands one of those big hooks, I think he goes down. So I am going to go with Topuria by knockout. Is sitting around minus 150, and I think that's how that ends.
Yeah.
At this point, 7 straight victories. This will be his 4th title fight, and we know what we're getting from this guy. He's going to come forward. He's going to crash the pocket. He's going to throw big hooks, look for the takedowns, look to get to the back, work submissions, and that's been really working out well for him. It's been a rinse and repeat throughout each fight, and he's found a lot of success here. But, at this price here, there are some red flags on the champion here. And to what you were saying right there is he's 35 years old. He's a 35-year-old flyweight. And that already is, again, these lower weight classes, obviously that's even why Islam kind of was done with it. He was kind of like, I'm done cutting this weight, struggling. Let me move up. That's kind of, I think, what Topuria is doing, moving up because of that. And you've got him now at 35 years old. This is really where we see things start to decline here. Not that we're fully seeing that from Pantoja. He's going out there getting victories, but the one issue here is his cardio. Now, I'm not saying that he has bad cardio, but he has had to really, really push through some of these moments here where he's gotten tired, he's gotten the takedowns, or he's gotten rocked. He's been able to kind of create, some kind of scramble, get on top position, and kind of ride out certain rounds. And That's really where I look at this fight here. And I think it's going to be very difficult for him to find a lot of these takedowns. Now, we know that Pantoja, he can get takedowns, but his control is a little bit sloppy at times, and especially as the fight goes on. And you've got Kai Kara-France, who really has top-level defensive wrestling, good takedown defense, and even he has an 88% takedown defense rate, and I think that's going to hold up. Sure, there's going to be opportunities where Pantoja is going to have the control time. He's going to get him down. It's a 5-round fight, but we've also seen how well he's been able to create scrambles to get back to his feet. And I think Kai Kara-France is going to force these scrambles a lot, get back to his feet. And we've even seen, some pretty solid wrestlers struggle getting Kai Kara-France down. Even in wins or losses, he's still, they've struggled against it. You've got Askar Askarov, who was 2 for 14 on takedowns. Amir Albazi was 1 for 9. Even Brandon Moreno was 0 for 3. So even in those situations, these guys struggled getting him down. I think if this plays out on the feet and the farther that this fight goes, I think Kai Kara-France finds success, probably landing the more impactful, damaging shots as well. I think he's the harder hitter between the two, better combinations, more accurate. And we've seen Pantoja at times kind of winging shots, and he's doing that more to crash the pocket to get a hold of you. And I think that Kai Kara-France can create that space and really make this ultra competitive here. So I think this line is pretty wide here when you're looking at Pantoja, our 35-year-old nearing 3-1 favorite spot. I do like the dog here. I think that Kai Kara-France gets it done. So I'm going Anu at plus 210.
Wow, love it.